Hi, I'm Melana of Melana On The Path, A Journey into the Light. Welcome to my new podcast series, The Path Channeled Lectures. We begin this series with a lecture given by Chakra entitled, What Color is My Pain? Part 1. Chakra, the first entity that I channeled, introduced himself as a representative of the team, an entity family of interdependent spirits linked to each other in service to a common goal, the awakening of humanity to love. He is wise, loving, and most of all, patient. With a quiet charm and a fierce devotion, Chakra holds his love for humanity steady and strong so that we may learn the truth about love and the power of loving ourselves. In part 1 of What Color is My Pain, Chakra teaches us about the roots of racial disunity and the illness that continues to undermine the health and well-being of all humankind. He informs us with candor and grace that love is the only medicine that will heal us. Chakra unfolds for us his unique perspective of the human condition and addresses our need to heal, not only as individuals, but also as members of our cultural and racial groups. I used to refer to Chakra as the Dr. Spock of the team because of his profound understanding of our human reality and his masterful ability to strip a thing down to the bone and transmute something impossibly complex or controversial into a simple, clear, and undeniable truth. There is a tendency, when addressing the issue of race, for people to be more reactive than open when faced with any role they may have played in the matter. We usually find ourselves either bowing our heads in shame and denial, or rearing up offensively with blame and accusations. Chakra gratefully offers each one of us an opportunity to break through this seemingly eternal misunderstanding and take responsibility for the healing that we as individual beings have to undergo in order to end our racial disunity. Personally, I find Chakra's assessment of our human condition brilliant, compelling, and utterly fascinating. Might I suggest you listen with an open heart and allow yourself to feel his gentle offering of love, hope, and possibility for our lives today and for the future of the human race. Listen, enjoy, and learn.
In relationship to becoming whole, in relationship to becoming at one with oneself, healing the places that prevent or prohibit this from happening is what is required. We're going to speak about healing in a very basic way so that the understanding becomes really clear around what is healing, why is it necessary, what will it produce, who needs it, how much of it, where do you begin? We're going to start at the beginning when it comes to the issue of healing so that people can get a foothold in understanding why it is necessary to focus on healing. What will healing bring about that is so absolutely profound at this point? I would like for all of you to consider the possibility that when one is ill or sick or has some disease or some dysfunction, it is difficult to impossible to function in a productive way, either from the acute pain or from the acute sense of being drained by whatever malady one has, one does not feel physically, emotionally, psychologically, or psychically capable of functioning in a productive way. So if it is not possible to perform in a productive way because one is carrying or experiencing an illness or disease of some sort, the first order of business would be to heal oneself, to have oneself become healed, so that then one will have access and use of all of one's faculties, so that one can continue on with one's life in a whole and productive way. Basically, everyone on the planet Earth requires healing. Everyone needs to be healed. Everyone. It does not matter if you look in the mirror and you get on your scale and you check yourself out through your medical people on your planet and discover that you are considered quote unquote 100% healthy. Those are not the standards at this point that we are speaking of. It is not to say that those standards are not important at a certain level, but we are going to deeper levels than that. And that is something I want everyone to try and understand. We are talking about very basic healing about being a human being. Healing what went wrong, or what malady, dysfunction, disease came into this process of being a human being from the very beginning. That is why this healing is so basic, because it has to start right at the moment that a human being came into life. What we are going to use for this healing, what medicine that is necessary for this healing, is love. That is the one medicine that we are going to use to heal what is needed to be healed in order for human beings to walk their path towards wholeness. So we have everyone needing a healing, and we have one medicine that we can use, and the medicine is love. If in being born a human being on your planet, if in being born you were born well, you would not be on this planet. You would have been born somewhere else. No one gets to be born here well. It is not the process of birth where the unwellness sets in. It is actually prior to the process of birth. How so? You have a planet that is and has been running out of balance. Why? Because the beings on the planet have been out of balance. The female beings and the male beings collectively as units, coupled units, family units, have been the carriers and the creators of the children that come forth. If the parents themselves are carrying this disease, this out of balanceness, then the children that come from those parents are going to be carrying it as well. It is something that gets to be passed on while a child is in the womb. You have to stretch your perspective to realize that the nurturing, the communication, the setting up of ideals, the setting up of attitudes, belief systems, all of those things are activated prior to the birth of a child. While a child is being carried in its mother's womb, those things, that information is being communicated. So you see, that information is there at the moment the child is born. That information is with the child when that child comes into the world. The child already knows upon arrival many, many things about what its life is going to be like. Children, babies in the womb can hear, can feel, can sense what the situation is with their parental structure, what the situation is with their family structure, what the situation is with the world structure communicated to them via their own family unit. So, prior to this, when we spoke about what happened with the different cultures, you now understand that this information is communicated to you, communicated to your children, was communicated to your parents before everyone got here. So you come into this life on this planet ready and prepared to live the out of balanced state. For the white culture, it is coming into the life with the expectation and the knowingness of your position of power. Or if you talk about the white culture, those beings who will say, we are as poor as the people of color. We get treated as poorly as the people of color because we don't have the economic standing that is required by our own people to honor us. So how can we be considered better, or how can we be considered having oppressed them when we are oppressed ourselves? It does not matter what your economic standing is as a white person or a member of the white culture. In your genes, in your communicating to one another, prior to the birthing of any child, prior to your birth, you come in realizing at least this, that you may not have what your own culture expects you to have in order to be on top of it. But the one thing you have that sets you apart from all of the other cultures is that you are white. You can be poor, you can be destitute, but you are white. And that in itself makes you markedly different from any person of color, regardless of the fact that they have the same economic standing that you have. They are still less than you because of their color. It is a very difficult position, yes, for members of the white culture to be in. For all appearances, they seem to be no better off, treated no better. But the thing that they have to remember, the one thing that sets them apart from the cultures of color and sets them in alignment naturally with their own culture is that they are white, period. That in itself is the difference. So you get to see by that it does not matter how any person in any of the cultures show up, either economically, politically, intellectually, educationally astute or not. It does not matter. Those things, when they should, according to the political plan for the allowance of growth and prosperity, they should make a difference, but they don't. They only seem to in certain instances. They're like a cover-up for the truth. But the truth is that as it stands, If a white person is economically destitute, it does not make them a person of color. It does not make them equal to a person of color. They still get to be better. If a person of color has money, education, political standing, social standing, they have all those accoutrements of the white culture. They do not get to be seen as white. They do not get to experience life as white. They get to experience life as people of culture who have gained, who have accumulated, who have climbed this ladder towards the dream, but they always get to experience the dream less than, doing the very same things that the white culture does, knowing the very same things that the white culture knows, having the very same money that the white culture has, does not ever produce a person of color that is equal to a white person. That is just the way it is, and that is why everyone needs to be healed. That is part of the reason why you can look and see the out of balance state through your own eyes. You have people who are, by the very fact of their own standing in the world, who should have some place to relate to, some place of equality, where they have walked their physical paths on the planet in terms of your society structure. They should have something in common. They should have something that bonds them. But it's very difficult, even for people of color and white people, to bond because of the fact that they are not the same color. Even though they could help and support each other because they are at equal places, the thing that separates them is that one is white and the other is not. So you have a continuum of out of balanceness, a continual state of being out of balance, a continual state of disharmony. This is basic to being a human being on this planet. That is why when we speak of healing, we have to start from the very, very beginning. In order for unity to occur, we have to heal the disunity that occurs prior to one's birth.